Hello friends, today I'll be demonstrating the complete procure to pay process in Oracle Fusion with a special focus on foreign currency conversion, especially how the system handles conversions between the functional currency and the transaction currency throughout the P2P lifecycle.
So these are the steps which I'm going to be conducting today. And the first step actually I would like to demonstrate is like exchange rate. We need to just make sure whichever corporate type your exchange type you are selecting, you have an exchange rate populated properly between two different foreign currencies. Now, in this particular example, I'll be doing the transactions in USD, whereas my functional currencies and my disbursement bank account is going to be in PLN. So let's create, I'll show you the exchange rate first.
Now go to setup and maintenance, select maintain daily rates, and you can see we had a requirement to define exchange rates for various central banks. So select your central bank or exchange rate type and maintain exchange rate between two different currencies, the one which is your transactional currency and the second one is a functional currency. After selecting from currency, select two currency and date from for which you want to enter the rates and the rate type if you want to select now or you can do it later on. Now you can see like National Bank of Poland, like we do have a rates defined, and if you see I've defined the rates at different intervals. So I've changed purposely actually so that we can record these gains or loss transactions. So if you see from up to 17th, I've recorded the exchange rate as 4 between US dollar and zloty, whereas after 18th, I've recorded as 3.57. This will help us to demonstrate the gains or loss happening when you're doing the transaction. So before we create requisition, we need to check requisition preferences. Now requisition BU is PEP component. That means the transactions are going to be created through requisition BU. The requisition line, select item, tail rolls, and I need to select the source type, which is supplier, because it's external requisition. Select supplier, ABC Consultings. Now, if you see the pricing, the pricing has come in USD because the supplier was configured to send the invoice in USD. However, there's no restriction as such actually because that can be overridden at the transaction level. By default, it's showing as USD. So my requisition is going to be created in USD. Let's verify the requisition. We'll press add to cart to create the requisition. So I did, but the requisition didn't get created. If you see, the requisition is still hanging around, and this is because the DFF has been enabled on requisition. So there was a requirement for this company to add the classification code. So we're just going to review and see what exactly happens. If you scroll on the right hand side, you see there are two DFF. One is cost to owning department and asset classification. So asset classification shows you capex, opex, pre-opening capex and pre-opening opex. And based on this DFF, we are generating the code charge account. Yeah. So if you select this asset classification, and when you press the submit button, it will go to TAD and it will create a new charge account based on the capex selection. So this was one of the requirement, and for this requirement to accomplish, we had to enable DFF. And how to enable DFF, you can check my another video, which is on Page Composer, which will help you to understand how to enable DFF on a requisition page. So once we have submitted the requisition, now we'll just quickly check, okay, this requisition has been created, but still waiting for an approval. It is still in pending approval state. And once it is approved, based on the approval process, you will be it will be ready for, you can see like it has been approved. So this is going to be ready for the purchase order.
This requisition and it has been approved now, so it's time to convert this requisition into purchase order. So let's go to the purchase order screen. Okay, I can click on this one, requisition line. You can see my requisition, so it can be converted to purchase order. So I'm just going to add to document builder. It will pull out all this information from requisition, so you don't have to do anything except you can add add this particular line to the existing order, or you can create your new order basically. So we are just going to create a new order in this case. Press the OK button and it will create a purchase order for you. And since we have already gone through the approval process on the requisition side, we don't have to go for purchase order approval because we are not directly creating purchase order. It has gone through the requisition, it has gone through the approval process, and then the purchase order got created. Configuration has been done. Like yes, when you are converting it to purchase order, it will always going to be in incomplete state, and when it goes through the approval process, it will get approved automatically. You can see this was converted into purchase order. Like requisition was converted to purchase order and got approved as well. Actually, it is in open state. We'll quickly check the need by dates because we need to do the receipting as well. So let me check the need by dates. It's quite far. I would like to schedule this immediately. Now, since we have changed the dates, it will try and go for an approval process. So we'll come to purchase procurement, my receipts. And this is going to be very important, like items due, like last 7 days. Because we are trying to enter what the items actually I was supposed to be receiving today or tomorrow, basically. So I can keep it as next 7 days. And you know the purchase order which we have created. Let me pull out that purchase order. It was ending with 7, right? This is the one actually which we have created, right? Okay, so I'm just doing the receipting. Okay, quantity, I can enter the variable number, packing set number, and once you've done the receipting,
Press the submit button. That will create the receipt, and I won't be taking up on the accounting entries because that's been covered in my previous video, supply chain orchestration. Please go through those ones. Let's create a payable invoice, which is going to be PO matched. So come to the workbench, create invoice, and select your purchase order. So we'll just select the supplier and then we'll query the purchase order number.
Yeah, this is the one actually we want to select. And if you see like invoice currency, it's going to be the USD. You can change the payment currency here. I can make a payment in PLN. So let's do that way as well actually. Like I'll be making a payment in PLN. Okay. This is and do you know how much it was? I think 84th. Let me check. We'll do the matching. So we'll just do the matching. Okay, so it puts out all this informations, and if you say like I was supposed to be paying 23.52, so because it's in USD, I'll be paying in 23.52. Okay, I'm going to save it and do the validation process. If you know validation process, it not only calculates the tax, it also validates your tolerance level basically, and if it is exceeding the tolerance level, it will put the holds against that particular invoice number. And I quickly will just set for an approval. Again, this also can be configured in such a manner like when you are creating an invoice which is associated to the approved purchase order, you don't have to go for an approval process. You can straight away like approve. Yeah, so that also can be configured in your approval process. We'll wait for this invoice to get approved. Yeah, it's because it was like coming from a purchase order. It got approved immediately. And we'll check the accounting process, accounting draft. Can you see there are 3 lines basically? I was expecting 2 lines, but there are 3 lines. Now the third line is nothing but it's see the first line is like accrual is debited and liability account is credited, but there's another line which is only for the PLN, not for USD. If yeah, another line is for the gain exchange rate variances. Because there was an exchange rate variances, it has created the third line, and we'll push this into a journal ledger just to see how exactly it pans out. Okay, we have done, so depressed. Right, so this is the entry actually which we are looking for. Is coming from payables. Let's click on this payables. If you see on the left hand side, because the invoice was supposed to be coming from on against USD, and the purchase order was in USD, so there's no discrepancy basically. But when it comes to the conversion on the journal ledger, it understands, yes, like there was a discrepancy because of the exchange rate. So it calculates, it identifies a gain or loss account basically, and then it populates that amount basically, which is a 12.43 is amount is going to be debited against that particular PLN, because the conversion has happened actually between 23.50 to an 84, and the rates got changed since the receipting has happened. So because the rate was changed, the differential amount is going to be captured over here. And I'll show you like from where exactly we are getting this 145240 gain or loss account. Okay, let's go to the setup screen. So if you come to manage common options for payables and procurement, you'll find this accounting entry. So you can have two different accounts, one for variance gain and one another for variance loss, or you can have the same account which gets offset. Yeah. So we have done step 8, we have done step 9, and now it's time to make a payment. We have set the payment currency to PLN, so we'll try to make the payment in PLN. But my payment date is going to be slightly different. It's going to be like in 23 December. Yeah, because we have different exchange rates, so we wanted to see basically how exactly those exchange rates are getting captured over there basically, because there is a difference between the invoice and the receipt, invoice and the payment. Even that exchange rate is going to be captured. Okay.
Let's create payments. Come to payables workbench, select payments, and before creating payments, we will quickly check our invoice. What is the due date? Because we want the exchange rate to be different from the payments. That's the reason, so that we can calculate the gains or loss. So we query the invoice, and I'm just going to select installment. And if you see the due date, that's due date is on 19th of December, and I'm going to create payments on 22nd or 23rd, because the exchange rate is changed actually during that period. So click on submit payment process request. Enter any name actually which you can track. So I'm just giving as pay -1234001, and I pay through date. I'm just going to keep as it is. I'm going to put the supplier, so it will filter only those invoices which are coming from those suppliers. And the date basis, I'm going to select as 1 minute. Why is not it? Okay, that's fine. That's a supplier. And due date basis is going to be due date. Okay, now coming back to payment and processing options. So I'm going to select the payment date to 22nd, because the exchange rate is different actually on that date. I'll select the disbursement bank account as PLN because we are going to be making PLN payments, slotty payments. Payment document and payment process profile is UCM, transfer PEPCO electronic payments. So I'm going to change the exchange rate because I need to select specific conversion rate type. So it was defined for Poland separately. Yes, I've just left as review installment so that is like we should be able to review installment before creating the final payment. Okay. So it should appear here. Yes, so it will show me one installment. Okay, now it's showing me error because the exchange rate was not defined between USD and PLN on 22nd. So it gives me error message, which I need to fix it. Okay, this was not an error, but it was a warning message. So I've just selected the current currency type. And I'm just going to refresh it now, just to see where exactly it's heading towards. Pressing the refresh one more time. It takes time sometimes. Yeah, so you can see the PLN amount has increased now. If it's like it has gone from some 84 PLN to 101.14, and this is because of the exchange rate. The exchange rate was changed on 22nd of December, and this has resulted the amount going out to be higher to the supplier. So this becomes my loss, and this should be booked against the loss account. So I'll just resume the payment process. So yeah, it's come to completed one. So it's still generating the payment file. And then once it is completed, it will move into the recently completed tab. So this is my payment file. This is my amount 101.14 PLN, which is higher than expected. Let's note down this amount, which is 101.14. And we'll quickly check even the payment. So go to manage payments and query on the payment date, which was 22nd of December. What is so you can see action. You can void the payment. You can initiate the stop. You can print remittance. You can post to ledger. So we'll try to post into ledger. It should give an error. Account in draft. So we'll just try to do account in draft. So yes, that's good. So it's giving error. I'll show you why it is giving error because of the setup. Now our accounting entry was supposed to be set up actually at the time of payment clearing and not at the time of payment creation. So let's go to setup and maintenance, payables, and we'll go to payable options, payment options. You can see account for payment is only going to be happening at the time of clearing, not at the time of issue. So we'll be able to generate accounting entry for the payment only at the time of reconciliation. Close this window and we'll check the payment file which got generated and sent to UCM folder. So we'll come to file import and export. We'll come to fen/payments. Press the search and it should show you all the payments files getting generated in this folder. So select the first one which we have created recently. And if you just open this payment file, you'll find all our information about like slotty payment plus, which is like 101.14, and even the currency is PLN basically. So let's move to the last part, which is bank reconciliation.
So I'm just creating a manual bank statement to make it more simple for your demonstration purpose. Now you know that from where we have made the payment, right? So I just wanted to make sure. Let me make sure that where exactly the payment has gone out. Right, so we have made I've just made sure like we have made the payment actually through this bank statement, and I'll put the starting date as, let's say, 20, 20th, let's say, and I'm going to say 22. Statement ID is, you can put it as anything. Okay, and I'm going to put one. What was that? Let me check the amount. 101.14, right? I'll just to make it more simple, 101.1. So I've got this much of amount in my account, and I'm going to enter, let's see, a line. You can enter any of this payment method basically, like I'm just transaction code, because these transaction codes are coming from the bank. You can select any one of them, and crediting, I'm saying 1014. Let me check one more time. 1014. Okay, Oracle will automatically check the closing balance properly actually if you are entering those amounts, and if it is not coming out to be zero, then there will be a problem. Okay, so let me, okay, so now let's go back to, so I've created the statement. I'll try to manually process the bank statement. I'll try to put the dates. So I'm trying to reconcile this one. If you see, both are matching. Reconcile, and this should set the status even on the invoice, on the payment basically. You should set the status as cleared. Okay, so now go back to the payment which we have created. So we'll just go back to the payment to see. You can see the payment status over here, like it is cleared now. Now at this point, system will allow me to create the accounting entries. You can see accounting status is unaccounted. I'll press the button post to ledger. Okay, so there are a bunch of account transactions got created. If you see like loss, because it was a loss actually, right? Because we have created the purchase order, we have created the purchase order at a lower rate, whereas at the time of making the payment it's a slightly higher rate. So which is a loss to the company. We have to capture those loss actually against the journal entries. And this is what exactly is happening right now. And this loss is going to be, because it's between the payment invoice and the payment, it is getting captured in a different account. It's a loss account, and I'll show you where exactly this account comes from. Let's check the accounting entry first. GL accounting entries. Okay, so this is coming from reconciled payments. This is payables. No, not this one, sorry. This is the one actually, like, yes. So a bunch of accounting entries which has taken place. So I'll just view the description of the column. Show all. Okay, so there is a conversion rate issue basically over here. Like, because of the exchange rate, it has created a different. It has captured basically. Yeah. So the PLN was, there's a difference between PLN, which is 4.71. Okay. Now we'll check which accounting entry, where exactly this accounting entry came from. Like, there was a loss, right? It's 7755400. So let's go to that one. Let's go to the setup form. Yeah, so it's a realized loss distribution. So this is accounting, because there are two accounting entries over here. Now it tracks the difference between the payment invoice and the payment. If there's any differential, if there's any difference with in terms of exchange rate, it captures the gain or a loss actually in these accounts. Now, since we have two different accounts, for the gain we are going to be capturing 750,300. So if the exchange rate goes down, the gains of this is a profit to the organization, which is going to be captured over here. And if it is a loss, it's going to be captured over here. So this is what exactly the accounting entry is getting created. Okay. So we have covered the complete P2P process, and to demonstrate actually how those exchange rates are getting captured at different stages. Hope you liked my session, and if you haven't subscribed to my channel, please do subscribe to my channel. Thank you.